So my name is Shadi Bagherzadeh-Azbari, and we are excited to be here and explain our project, interesting project actually. To you, this project belongs to Berlin and Berlin citizens. So any kind of idea, suggestions, and kind of outreach opportunities are always welcome within our presentation. So I would start sharing, and in between of my talk, I will share some useful links for you as well. And then you could let me know whether you would like to learn more about our project and about the details. So our project called Your Emotional City, it is a citizen science project, meaning that it's a project open to citizens of the Berlin, and we are in direct and constant interactions between the scientists behind the project and also citizens of the Berlin. So once again, my name is Shadi. I'm a cognitive neuroscientist and research psychologist by background. Now I'm working as an postdoc and senior researcher in the project Your Emotional City, which is part of the research platform Neurourbanism. So as you see on the slides, my work belongs to neurourbanistic. And it is kind of a theoretical framework that we are bridging different disciplines and working groups on the topic of the urban density, urban mental health, and we are combining different disciplines of cognitive science, cognitive neuroscience, cognitive psychology, philosophy, architecture, urban disciplines, and also social humanities together in order to really co-determine the factors which are impacting our mental health within the urban living and living in the city. And also, if you would like to join us within our social networks, our Instagrams is here, it's called Emotional Stadt, and also take a look at our websites that we will bring updates on the project constantly on the website, and you could have an overview of what we're doing and what is the stage of the project actually. Okay, so why it is important about what we are working on is that there are reports and really important reports on the global level that is showing that by 2050, the year of 2050, more than 70% of the people living in our world will be living in the cities. And it is important in terms of the fact that reports or scientific literature also shows that living in the cities are also associated with more basically chances to have mental health problems. Reports are showing that the depression goes up by 40% when people are living in the city. And there are also reports on the anxiety level, kind of traits associated disorders, up to some level, 70% for the people who are living in the city and are constantly exposed to the density which is happening in the city living. And these are kind of reports on international level and brings up and opens the call to the researchers, specifically on the urban related topics in order to do research. Why is that so? And within that, we called it our call in order to take a look at how urban density could affect our emotional states as human livings and also our mental health. And that is the reason that we started with the project Your Emotional City, which is a citizen science project and is using an ecological momentary assessment methodology to learn more about the impact of urban density on our brain health, basically. What do I mean by all that is that we are using a method which is collecting data in real time, and individuals using their phone and an app which is called Urban Mind, and I will explain later on that, could tell us about their natural environments, which they're surrounded with, and also tell us about their emotional states as they are going with their daily living in the city. And within that, we will collect and evaluate the reports on daily basis. This is called our methodology, Ecological Momentary Assessment, and in abbreviation, EMA. And by citizen science approach, I also meant before that we are collecting data from the citizens. So within our project, scientists and citizens are hand in hand in order to do research and learn more about the impact of urban density. Here, I would like you to invite to look at our video YouTube trailer that we have about the project. It's in German, and it also provides informative data about how we are doing the project and what is the project about. And it's an invitation to all the Berlin citizens to participate in the project.
In der wir leben, hat einen großen Einfluss auf unsere Psyche.
Stark dieser Einfluss ist und was das Stadtleben mit uns macht, das wollen wir herausfinden.
Dafür arbeiten wir mit der App Urban Mind zusammen und jetzt fragen wir euch.
Städte sind für Forscher wie mich oft noch ein Ort, der bei einer Person ein sehr gutes Gefühl erzeugt.
Verursacht bei anderen total viel Stress.
Und im Projekt Deine emotionale Stadt helft ihr mit, die Ursachen dafür zu erforschen.
Warum nehmen wir Orte so unterschiedlich wahr? Woher kommt das?
Das wollen wir mit eurer Hilfe herausfinden.
Um so die Städte der Zukunft mitzugestalten und gemeinsam Stadtentwicklung voranzutreiben.
Denn was in Städten passiert, betrifft uns alle.
Und gemeinsam können wir beginnen, die Städte besser zu verstehen. Nun mit euch entsteht eine emotionale Stadtkarte, die uns zeigt, wie es euch in der Stadt geht.
Mit den Daten dieser Karte kann zum Beispiel die Stadtplanung besser werden.
Und so können Städte für uns alle lebenswerter werden.
Mitmachen bei Deine emotionale Stadt heißt mitforschen an der Stadt der Zukunft.
Und alles, was ihr jetzt dafür braucht, ist die App Urban Mind.
Urban Mind.
So, as introduced to you, we are using an app in order to collect the data for our project within the Berlin domain. And what are the process of our data collections and how we are doing what we are doing actually is that we are doing recruitment within our collaborators, which is the main one is the Futurium, the Museum of the Future, and they help us in order to get more loud with the project and having this open call to invite all the Berlin citizens to participate in our project. We use the app called Urban Mind. So participants will download the app and immediately they will be invited to give us some informations, demographic informations about how old they are, where are they living actually, which our target is Berlin at the moment, and also a little bit of about the personality traits we are asking some questions about, and whether they are belonging or having a migration background living in Berlin. And after having all of these baseline questions, we will invite them for a duration of 7 days, 3 times a day, to tell us about the environments that they are in, informations about, for example, where are they at the moment and how do they find the environment. And we will also collect once their GPS data for 3 times a day, and later we will use that for analysis. For this duration, we are making sure that we will be having enough and consistent data to run significant analysis based on. And what is important also about the project is that after all of these participations and data collection, we will be engaging our updates and informations and data results with the participants and the citizens of the Berlin. So it is more of a looping interactions that we will be having, and we will be having engagement with them. So here I would like to again put an emphasis on that the study outcomes will be shared. What will be the, let's say, most fruitful and main results beside the publications that we will be having in different aspects of the scientific approaches that we have. We will also aim for having an emotional card of the Berlin, which shows and simplifies our results with an illustration of a map to understand how people have reported about the city Berlin. And for example, where do they feel what in which area, for example, whether they will feel a stress in a specific domain. And this will be our approach to also convey this message that the participations of the citizens will be somehow translated to scientific results and will be handed over for policymakers for future implementations and future policies that they would like to have about the Berlin. And together, this way, we will be helping to shape the city of the future. So far, what has been happening with your emotional city is that for the duration of around 2 years, we have been within the first phase of the project. And so far, till August this year, we managed to collect around 1,622 baselines and participation from Berlin. This number is higher at the moment. By today, we have 1,865. But for the moment, I'm presenting the amount of data that we have ran analysis on, and we needed to somehow fixate our dates till August this year. And based on that, we have collected more than 80,583 ecological momentary assessments during the duration of 7 days. So quite good basis for us in order to run our analysis. And since we are also collecting our GPS, and also there are a little bit of complications within collecting the GPS data in Berlin, as I mentioned, so people would like to learn more about the data privacy that we have. Our GPS data collection is lower than our EMA collections. For that, in order to have a combined and fine-grade group to run the analysis on, we ended up with 311 participants so far to run the analysis. So let's take a look and see who is basically shaping our most participations. Luckily, or let's say happily to me as a female researchers, we see that females are participating more in the study, and they are showing more response to the invitations that we have. So at the moment, our current user, based on the results, shows that they are more 60% female participating, and our minimum age is 40 years at the moment, and it shows that they belong also to the educated level. So 70% of them have at least a master degree. And some of them also belong to the migration groups, meaning that they have migration background, but most of them are participating in Berlin and not around area. So let's take a closer look at what we are asking within the app and what has been the basically questions participants have replied to us. So we are asking about psychological factors. So we are asking on daily basis about their emotional states. How do you feel? Are you feeling happy at the moment? Are you feeling scared at the moment? Are you feeling full of energy, for example, at the moment? And they will give us responses on the spectrum of 1 to 5. How do they feel for different psychological factors that we are asking about? These are important because later on, when I'm explaining on the results, you will be having a more concrete understanding of how these questions have been answered and shaped our results. Later on, we also ask about how people see the environment so far. For example, some of the questions. where are you at the moment? So it is important for us to ask people and to see whether they are mindful about their surrounding environment and how do they experience and perceive the environment. And these are other sets of the questions that we are asking. For example, we are also interested to know if people are having a company going to different location and or working in different situations, for example. And other things which is unique about our study is that we are asking about some of the artistics or let's say other kind of perceptions within the environment. And we are asking some of the questions, for example, do you see or you find your place beautiful, or do you find it interesting, for example? This is kind of a novelty of the novelty questions that we have within the project and has not been reported before. And then we also have one more sets of important informations and questions about how people, for example, perceive the environment in terms of the weather. For example, if the weather is sunny or cloudy, or would it be different for them? And do they recognize greenness, for example, within their surrounding environment? Are they mindful about that? Or do they have, for example, enough personal space? Within that questions, we would like to see how do they perceive the density that they're experiencing within the environment. So what are the results exactly? So interestingly, we have noticed that Berliners are quite happy people and energetic in some sort. They also report that they are stressed in different environments. And also we have reports on citizens being lonely and anxious. But what it shows in our data that so far Berliners feel happy within the city. And when it comes to how the city itself looks like to them, it sounds that they somehow perceive Berlin not that much crowded, and also they considered it safe, which is also of a novelty and interesting to us, because it will be informative for us and important to know that whether all the people or all the citizens so far have the same feeling, or it is different. For example, if a person has a migration background and doesn't find Berlin a safe city. And these are the analysis that we will run also alongside of our general understanding of how Berlin feels to people now. But let's get to other sets of the results that we have. The diagram I'm showing here may look a little bit complicated, but I will explain in details what does it mean. So if you remember, we had these questions that we were asking from people, how do you feel stressed at the moment or within the environment you are? And with here, we try to predict what is basically associated with the feeling that people have in terms of the stress. So stress is our outcome. And when we are looking at our diagram, the thick lines are showing significant associations. And if they are blue, meaning that they have positive correlations and associations, and if they are red, they are showing negative associations, meaning that, for example, if this circle stands for environmental beauty, and if this circle stands for environmental interestingness, then we will notice that both of these elements have negative correlations with the outcome stress, meaning the more people find the environment beautiful and interesting, the less they are stressed. And it has different explanations that I won't get that much into that, but we have been noticed that this is the novelty of our studies, and we think that if people find an environment beautiful and interesting, they will be having this kind of engagement feeling in order to engage with the area. So then this may lead to lower stress level. There are no causal interactions happening in explanations here. They are just network analysis based on the partial correlations and partial regressions, but this is what we have found so far. And if you remember, I also had these questions that whether people feel happy with an environment. Again, let's take a look together. We see here we have kind of the same results, and it's consistent within the data that whether people will be finding an environment beautiful and interesting, they tend to be happier. So again, the blue lines are showing positive correlation. And it will be interesting also to take a look at the next outcome that we have, which is loneliness. As you can see, the line is not that much thick here, so it's showing a trend and he has not reached the significancy level. But it's also interesting to know that if a area is interesting, people tends to be feeling less lonely. Again, it could be having these explanations that people try to engage with the environment, so they feel less lonely within that domain. Another questions that we asked that whether people will feel anxious within an environment, and what could be the predictors within the environment. Interestingly, we noticed that if people find the environment safe, they happen to have less anxiety level and they report less anxiety. And also interesting here, it is not, for example, a matter of the fact and how it correlates with our outcome anxiety here, but if an environment is crowded, it is somehow wouldn't be considered safe. So this is something that we could also get from the data with a quick overview. And our last important outcome that we are asking in terms of our psychological factors is the energy level. As you may remember that I explained that Berliners find themselves energetic within the city, and we would like to see what contributes to that. Here, our diagram is not showing significant interactions, but we can understand that there is a trend that, again, when there is an environment interesting, they feel to have this engagement feeling and feel more energetic. So coming to this slide, which is the next slide of ours, I would like to invite you to our mapping results, because if you remember, I explained that in the end, your emotional city is aiming to help with shaping the emotional card of the Berlin. Then we didn't have a look, we could have these illustrations that how Berliners feel. But let's take a look first at how our data shows the participation around the Berlin. So as you can see, each dot is representing one of our assessments that we have had so far within our project. So all of these red dots are showing their participations from different parts of the Berlin. Quite good, quite interesting. But what we would like to end and achieve in the end is to have a specific map for each questions that we are asking within our studies. So I'm here showing an overview of our data on different questions that we have. For example, whether we have asked, how green is your current environment? And you can see that the density of responses that we have had on specific locations have helped us to shape kind of a heat map here. And then we see that here, for example, in this area and the areas, alternatively, people are reporting the greenness more. But it comes to how beautiful the map changes, and it shows a different kind of a heat map. And we are also seeing, if we are asking how people are influenced by the environment, where are the locations or orts, for example, that people are showing more or reporting more data on. So this is in the end a schematic way of how we are shaping our maps and emotional card of the Berlin for specific questions that we have. I just have to mention here that at the moment we are descriptively showing all of these maps, where at the moment we cannot run or draw a specific significant level kind of an analysis and say which ort is, for example, more stressful than other ones, because we need to have more fine-grained analysis. For example, downgrading Berlin into different tiles and then do the comparison analysis and cross-sectional analysis for each tile. But at the moment, this is not our focus. But we are getting to that. We are getting help from geographers of the Berlin, and we would like to have more fine-grained analysis. But quickly, one last important thing is that we would like to, for example, draw a conclusion on the stress reports that we have had along the Berlin. And then we try to collect some of the higher level reports of the stress level when people were reporting medium to high level of the stress in different tiles of the Berlin, and try to see if we could see in which neighborhoods people have reported more stress level. And that is why we try to focus on one question: how much stress do you have? And then we try to little by little try to target some of the neighbors. So the red dots here are showing the places that people have reported a medium to high stress level. And the yellow ones are the parts that people have reported low to medium level of the stress. So here we could have a little bit of a rough sketch that how it has been reported in different neighborhoods. But again, as I said, we are descriptively working on this at the moment within this phase. Here, I would get to the end of the presentation for your emotional city, and I would welcome any questions in English and German, and we would also be happy to hear about your thoughts about the project, how we could get more loud with it, because we are, as I said, we're focusing on more and more outreach. This is a project that belongs to Berlin citizens, and we would like to invite them all.